Hi, team. Very good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Rohit, shall we start?
Yeah, sure. I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, sir. This is Santosh from Supreme Computers. Hello.
Hi, Sanjay.
Yeah, Santosh, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Hi, sir. Okay, sir. So, shall we start, sir? Partners are waiting, sir.
Yes,
Please
we
don't
can
start.
start.
So, thank you.
All right. Yeah. So let's quickly start looking at the expert center lineup. So before we start on looking at the models, I'll try and show you. This will not take a lot of time. What are the key things you have to look out for when you're trying to compare our Asus desktops with something else? So first of all, unlike other brands, we use our own motherboards. There are other brands which actually have to use boards made by other brand and assembled by other brand. We have been making motherboards for a very long time, and we know how good our motherboards are. And then it kind of completes us as a brand, making it our own products completely from the inside out, like from the board, from externals, power supply, everything. And we have like 45% global market share with our motherboards. Like one in every seven motherboards across the world has one Asus motherboard inside is what the statistics tell us. And apart from that, our boards are really robust in terms of let's say 24/7 kind of a cycle. We have like comprehensive system protection. These are like electrical protections that actually make good sense in terms of the real world problems such as like let's say lightning strike, surge protected networking, corrosion against moisture, and also 24 hours and reliability. We do like extensive 8,000 hours plus of tests, and like not just any condition. It's also taken in let's say high temperature, low temperature, high humidity. We also do continuous aging tests as well. And then flexible expandability, like unlike other companies out there, we also let our customers upgrade their systems inside with like let's say store-bought parts. We do not lock ourselves with let's say proprietary connectors or something, similar things like that. And then people might ask why Expert Center? What makes us so different? I mean, first of all, we use our own motherboards. That's one of our key proud point. We use our own motherboards. Apart from that, we only use currently we are only leveraging Intel processors for processing, and also for graphics, we only do NVIDIA as of now, in India at least. And since Intel and NVIDIA are both uh, having like very long commercial background as well, very successful, they've been around for a long time. So we understand that, and we are only leveraging them. Apart from that, you have military grade reliability. We are the only brand who does military grade testing for all our desktops, for all our commercial desktops at least. So just like our laptops, we undergo tests with our desktops also. And this is mainly like people might ask why do desktops need military grade certification if they are not, let's say, moved around. Like laptop, you have to carry every day. There are chances of it breaking depending on its portability. So desktop does not have that. But then we actually have desktops in industrial environments where there is high vibration, in hospitals where desktops might need moving around a lot. So in that manner, military grade actually helps to have peace of mind. Most desktops have tool-free design. This is to extract, let's say, simple things like drives, C drive, DV drive, hard drive. To get those things out, you don't need a tool. All you need is a thumb screw, and then there are buttons inside where you can press and release the drive. Simple button mechanism release. Apart from that, you have one more key aspect is the center 3 point. Is what is very unique to Expert Center. Like one is world number one motherboard. We do military grade tests at second, and also third is solid capacitors. I'll come to that. So capacitors are your basic electronic components, which are at the very basic. All electronics have this. Like you cannot have an electronic device without capacitors, which is that very basic down bottom. And these capacitors have been around for a very long time. The main failures happen due to basic components failing, so we don't want that. So we are using these 100% solid capacitors. When I say solid, the outer covering on these gold looking cylinders, those are like very much made with metal. And these things have a very, very long life. Like if you see, if you are testing it with, let's say, even in high temperature environments like 86 degrees Celsius, these things will actually work for 2 years continuously, whereas other capacitors might not work for much. And then let's say even with 60 degrees, these things will work for continuous 22 years. So these things actually help us attain that 24 hour 7 kind of a reliability. Let's start having a look at our machines. So we also have a D900, which looks very similar to this. There's not much difference in terms of looks and specifications. So D800, D900, more or less the same. So we are offering this up to 13th generation with up to i9 vPro Essential supported also with Intel's Q70 chipset. Both D800 and D900 have this Q670 chipset. And Q670 is very important in the corporate space where they would need more security, more expansion, more options for security, and also vPro. vPro support only comes with Q series chipset on desktops, so you have that here. And also RAM upgradability can go up to 128 GB DDR5. We have two GPU options. One of them is A2000 with 12 GB, or you can go for a 4060 RTX, which is also around the same 12 GB aspect. A2000 is more commercially centric, that's why it's fun here. And then you also have in the desktop, we give you Wi-Fi and Bluetooth as standard. It's not an additional add-on. So Wi-Fi 6 plus Bluetooth 5.3 is the latest. Even on laptops, we give you on a desktop as well. And then you have 15-liter capacity. So this is a 15-liter chassis. There is also a 9-liter chassis, which is smaller and slimmer than this, but then military grade again. And also on a full-size chassis, you will get up to 500 watts of power supply, uh, 500 watts of gold, and we also have platinum uh, standing there. And then port-wise, if you see, it has all of the ports. It also has serial ports at the back, option to also install parallel port at the top, and then also four display output. You can have up to four display out. The fourth one is an optional one. You can choose between a display port or a HDMI port. Here you can see it has I think it's a DP port. Yeah, two of them up top have a DP port. So you can actually connect up to four monitors without a graphic card. So multi-monitor setup, you don't need an extra graphic card. You can actually run off directly from the motherboard without any. And on the inside, if you see, you have options to mount a 3.5-inch hard drive, the CD-ROM drive also, 2.5-inch hard drive also at the bottom, and then two different slots for storage. So you can have SSD in RAID as well, and also SSD on SATA as well. So you have, if you see closely enough, you also have three SATA ports inside. You can actually have up to dual drive SATA RAID and also dual drive SSD RAID as well. So that's one key aspect. And then lower down, starting from let's say the D series, so we have D8, D9, D8, and then you have something called as a D700 also. This one gets a V70, V760 chipset. On the looks of it, it might look similar to the previous one, but then on the inside, we are using a B series chipset for this. Makes it quite cost effective. Up to 128 GB of DDR4 RAM. We will be going to DDR5 in the next upcoming version, which will be called D700 MER. There'll be an R added to the model number. And graphics, you have up to RTX 3060, 15-liter chassis again, up to 500 watts also. And then this chassis also has a slimmer model. I think let me show you the smaller models, how what they look like. So all of those models actually have a slimmer variant also. So let's say if there is a D900 ME, there is also a D900 SE. S stands for small form factor. So this is a D500 SE, but then D7, D8, D9, all of them have a SE model also, which is like half the size of the full size variant. And this is a 9-liter chassis. So talking about this chassis, you have V up to Q70, Q670 if it's a D9, and if it's a D5 or a D7, you have up to B760. And the internals are the same. If you look at from the inside, if you compare this with, let's say, the full size chassis or the full size 15-liter chassis, we are not removing anything except maybe for the fan at the back. But then the board, the CPU, even apart from the graphics option, because you need a half height graphic card, you need a low profile graphic card. We have that also. So even on an SE chassis, we have options to mount a graphic card. And apart from that, features are the same. The ports are more or less the same. You have serial port and parallel port connections at the back also. Extra display support. It's just half the size. So in terms of functionality, you are getting a full size chassis kind of a benefit, but then in a 9-liter capacity. We are not removing any features. The ports are the same. Internal storage configuration is the same. You can still mount a 3.5-inch hard drive and a 2.5-inch hard drive. You don't have to choose between two. There are other OEM desktops which actually will make you choose between the two. Here you can actually have both a large 3.5 and a 2.5-inch together in that same chassis. And apart from that, let me also show you completely what a desktop kind of looks on the inside. That presentation. So this is our completely new chassis that we have right now. It's a slight redesign on the ones that you saw before, but then it's just a update on that chassis. Nothing different. It's only a minor upgrade on the outside. So it's the same 15.9-liter chassis with a front indicator status, which was also present in the past. Slight redesign. We just added longer strokes on the front, but then the features remain the same on the inside. So what's new compared to the older chassis? If you ask, like you have internal Wi-Fi antenna on this, even the old one had it. Flexible rear ports at the back. You can choose between multiple ports while you are configuring the device. Motherboard design update is slightly different. We had a green color motherboard inside. Now we have a brown colored motherboard inside. That's the only difference in terms of the motherboard redesign. We aren't changing the layout itself. Apart from that, you have tool-free design. You have ODD tray latch. All of these are also present on the previous model. Just tiny update here and there in terms of how the connectors look like. Like for example, for the SSD and Wi-Fi card, earlier you had to put in screws. Now you have a plastic insert which you can pull out easily without needing a screwdriver. So almost a tool-free kind of an experience here as well. And in terms of processor, what's new is even on the D5 chassis, going to the 14th generation, the earlier one I showed you was 13th generation with DDR4. This one has a DDR5 across even on the entry level range. So 14th generation will come with DDR5. And apart from that, up to 14th gen processors, up to Core i7, up to RTX 4060 graphics. Then you have up to 2 TB of storage, up to 64 GB of memory. So on a D5 chassis, you have only two slots, so up to 64, 32 into 2. On a D7 or a D8 or a D9, you'll have four slots, which you can go up to 128 GB of DDR4. And Wi-Fi 6E, that is standard even on the previous generation, 13 and 14 both. And also we have options to have gigabit Ethernet connection. And then multiple ports on the 14th gen, at least you have up to three ports at the back. The fourth one can be optional, but then in the current stock that we are importing for the 14th gen, we will have three display outputs. So you can have three triple display outputs without graphic cards. And then even with the fan inside, the most noise it will make is like up to 29 or 30, up to 30 decibels. If you were to compare how loud that was, let's say small office would make around like 50 decibels, even when it's silent. So this is half that. So does not make a lot of sound. The fan, you can't hear it. Apart from that, you also have optional. This is optional. Optional SD card reader and a smart card reader. Two independent slots for that. Usually laptops have one big slot for that, and then you have to choose between the two. You have two independent slots for SD card and a smart card reader. Smart card separately. Even on the inside, it remains the same. It's not marked here, but then you can also mount a 2.5-inch hard drive right here. You see, it has a bracket for that. Once you open it, you'll actually find the mount for that. Apart from that, you have two DDR5 slots here. Since this is a D5 entry-level chassis, you have two slots here. If it's a D7 or a D8 or a D9, you'll have two more RAM slots. In terms of storage, you have two M.2 slots for storage. You have up to two PCI generic slots where you can add network cards, extra network cards if you want to, and also a full size into 16 slot for graphic cards as well. And also serial and parallel pin for older generation hard drives, barcode readers, surveillance camera, industrial equipment, all those things that we used to use older serial or parallel, we still have support for that. But then this is optional. You'll have to have it configured with us before you want to see this on the chassis. Apart from that, you have trusted platform module for security. So it's hardware security. We are not using FTPM. We are using DTPM, dedicated chip. So there's a dedicated chip for security and encryption also. And that is the standard norm. All of our machines across Asus, we do not use firmware platform. We only use dedicated platform. So it's a TPM 2.0 chip. That's actually a chip that's designed on the motherboard. And apart from that, you have support for Asus Control Center, which is a software that is used to manage fleet IT management systems. That is a subscription-based program. We have support for that. That's our own software, by the way, developed in-house. And you have standard support like, let's say, BIOS, STD password, USB storage block, Asus recovery. And when I say Asus recovery, this is cloud recovery as well. So if the machine is supported on the cloud, you can actually download the uh, cloud version of the Windows image. You don't need to install it through USB drives or anything. You can directly have from the BIOS, you can connect to the Asus cloud server and then download the image for that desktop directly. You don't need to. And once downloaded, you don't have to run the setup or anything. It's directly Windows. So all it takes is like 30 minutes of download, and after that, you'll have completely functioning Windows without having to install it. And then in terms of front side, what is new is that you have these two new LEDs, one to indicate the networking aspect, and this center LED on the right is something that will give you more information on if the machine does not start, it will give you error code blinking on that LED, and it will show you what's what. I think there's a chart here. I'll actually send the chart to Vimal if that's not present here. So multiple blinks, it will show you how to debug it and how to check whether if it's a CPU error or a networking error or a RAM error. It will have a blinking rate to it, so you can figure the issue out with that. Tool-free design, no tools needed to actually get our hands inside. Even on the SSD or the HDD, you don't need to mount it with screws. You can actually have button inserts at the back. You can directly remove it. And also the SSD also now has a button release mechanism, so you don't need to add a screw to that. And this just shows you how to get into. So step one is remove the thumb screw. Step two is like slide this off. Step three is very easy. Like once you have access inside, you can remove all that. And also with just one exhaust fan, we are able to manage the airflow. If you see there is no cable running on the front side. There is no cable from the SMPS running across the motherboard from the front. Everything is through the back so that the airflow is very straightforward. Having multiple wires inside a desktop actually messes with the airflow. It will add more dust. Dust does not completely go out. It settles on the motherboard, the wire. So what we did is route the wire behind the back panel chassis, behind the motherboard, and it'll actually. So this is what most gaming PCs are observing in terms of wire configuration. We are just following that, and we are a gaming company too, so we know this. And also, it's also very important that anything that gets hot needs to have an airflow or a ventilation to it. So this actually ensures clear ventilation. And yeah, this is the chart I showed you before. Why we use our motherboards, why we use solid capacitors, and also in terms of testing, just like our laptops, we do intense shock testing. We drop the machine from height, we press it, we do vibration test on it very heavily, we freeze it, we take it to higher temperatures in that one go. And these are I don't want you to read all this, but then there are multiple tests that we do that is similar to the ones we do to the laptops also. So these are one of those tests. And in terms of power supply, we have options up to platinum. So up to 500 watts platinum is something that we can do. And also we are very responsible in terms of sustainable aspects. So we want to go completely carbon free by 2030. So these are the actionables that we are actually, the sustainability goals we have for ourselves on how to reach that. So this is just a slide showing you this. I can send you the PPT. You can read this ideas. Yeah, that's it. So this was a few points that was very important around desktops. If you want, I can send you sales kit on all independent desktops separately. Vimal can help you with that. It's already available with him in the book. Any questions?
Rohit, is it possible to send this PPT to partners?
You can actually have this. You can download it through Teams and directly send it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, if there are no questions, then back to Vimal and Vinod.
Yeah. Vinod is not here. Thanks, Rohit. Thank you. சார் ஏதாச்சும் டவுட் இருந்தா நீங்க கேட்கலாம் சார் ரோஹித் கிட்ட டெஸ்க்டாப் பத்தி ஏதாச்சும் உங்களுக்கு சந்தோஷ் உங்க டீம்ல ஏதாச்சும் டவுட் இருக்கா சுப்ரீம் டீமுக்கு
சார் கார்த்திகேயன் சந்திரா கம்பெனி போகிறேன்
சொல்லுங்க
கேக்குதா
சார் சொல்லுங்க சார்
இப்போ யூஸ்வலா நம்ம கமர்ஷியல் சீரியஸ் போனோம்னா கிராஃபிக்ஸ் கார்டெலாம் ஆட் பண்ணும்போது அந்த பவர் சப்ளை யூனிட் வந்து ஸ்டாண்டர்டா 280 260 ஒரு ஸ்லாட் வரும், இன்னொன்று வந்து 550 வாட்ஸ்ல கிடைக்கும். இப்போ இந்த நம்ம எடுக்கிற அந்த பவர் சப்ளைல வந்து அந்த மாதிரி கஸ்டமைஸ் பண்ண முடியுமா?
Sir, actually, our desktop has two variants, sir. One with 300 watts supply and another one is 500 watts, sir. Rohit, correct, right? We have
500 watts இருக்கு. Okay.
Yes, we have 500 watts. You can able to add graphic card in our desktops.
Okay. எப்படி இப்போ கம்பேரிட்டிவ்லி இப்போ நம்மளோட ப்ராடக்ட் எப்படி கமர்ஷியல்ல வந்து இந்த டெஸ்க்டாப் கமர்ஷியல் சீரிஸ்ல கம்பேர்ட் டு அதர் பிராண்ட்ஸ் வாட் இஸ் தி ஃபீச்சர் நமக்கு இருக்கு? ஏதாவது ஏ பேஸ்ட் ஏதாவது சிப்செட் ஏதாவது வருதா இல்ல டெஸ்க்டாப்ல?
இல்ல சார், ஃபியூச்சர்ல we are coming with AI, but currently no. Our desktop is certified with military grade, you know already, and also we use our own motherboard, sir, Asus motherboard.
Correct.
So I think these are the unique features when compared to competition. Rohit, correct, Rohit?
Yeah, customer is not looking to that, right? So some technically like HX processor அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது ஃபீச்சர்ஸ் இருக்கா? ஏன்னா டெஸ்க்டாப்ல மிலிட்டரி கிரேட் பெருசா இம்பாக்ட் இருக்காது எக்ஸெப்ட் யுவர் புட்டிங் சம் இது. கரெக்டா? லேப்டாப்ல வி கேன் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் தே வில் பி டிராவலிங் ஃப்ரீக்வென்ட்லி, ஃப்ளைட்ல போவாங்க, கார்ல போவாங்க, ட்ரெயின்ல போவாங்க, பைக்ல போகும்போது வைப்ரேஷன் அண்ட் அதர் திங். ஸோ அது ஏன்னா மார்க்கெட்டை நம்ம போய் பேசும்போது அதர் தென் 1-to-1 கம்பேரிசன் ஏதாவது இருக்கா நம்மகிட்ட? ஒன்று மிலிட்டரி கிரேட் இஸ் ஓகே அண்ட் ஓன் மதர் போர்டு.
நாங்க ட்ரெடிஷனலாவே ப்ளூடூத் வைஃபை கொடுத்துட்டு வரோம் சார். இப்போ எல்லாருமே ஆட் பண்றாங்க.
ஓகே கமர்ஷியல்ல வராது.
நம்ம 3-4 இயர்ஸா வைஃபை ப்ளூடூத் கொடுத்துட்டு வரோம் நம்மளோட டெஸ்க்டாப்ல.
ஓகே கரெக்ட்.
இப்போ வந்து காம்படிஷன் எல்லாருமே அதை கொடுக்குறாங்க. பட் நம்ம லாஸ்ட் 3.5 இயர்ஸா நம்ம பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம்.
ஓகே, இது ஒரு வேலிடான பாயிண்ட். இல்ல மத்த பிராண்ட்லயும் கமர்ஷியல் எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு வரல. ஒரு ஹை எண்ட்ல வருது, டெல் ஆப்டிப்ளெக்ஸ்ல வருது, இதுல மிட் செக்மெண்ட்ல வராது கமர்ஷியல்.
நம்ம எல்லா மாடல்லையுமே தரோம் சார்.
எல்லாத்துலயும் வந்து ஓகே, அது ஒரு வேலிட் பாயிண்ட். ஏன்னா நாங்க கமர்ஷியல் எடுத்து திரும்பி அதுக்கப்புறம் வைஃபை அடாப்டர் ப்ளூடூத் போட்டு கொடுக்க வேண்டிய சில கேஸ் இருக்கு.
எஸ் சார்.
தேங்க்யூ.
Hello.
Sir, I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes.
வாய்ஸ் உங்க பின்னாடி இருக்க வாய்ஸ் தான் கேக்குது, நீங்க பேசுறது.
சார் விமல் சார் தியாகராஜன் சார்.
சொல்லுங்க சார். சொல்லுங்க ஜி.
இதே ஹெச்பி நம்ம ஏதாவது இந்த சஜஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம். என்ன இப்போ நம்மளுக்கு இதுல பிசி எக்ஸ்பிரஸ் கிராபிக்ஸ் கார்டு சப்போர்ட் பண்ற மாதிரினா இது எப்படி நம்ம ஹெச்பியோட கம்பேர் பண்ணி நம்ம போட்டு கொடுக்கறது?
Rohit, we can add graphic card in all our models, right, Rohit?
Yeah, all our desktops will have support for graphic card. Yes.
Okay. தியாகராஜன் நீங்க ஆட் பண்ணலாம் தியாகராஜன். நம்மளோட எல்லா டெஸ்க்டாப்புமே 300 watts and 500 watts வேரியன்ட்ல வருது. நீங்க ஆட் பண்ணலாம்.
ஓகே. ஷூர். இதுல சப்போர்ட் அதாவது கீ பாயிண்ட் 3 கீ பாயிண்ட் அடிஷனலா இதுல சம் ஃபியூச்சர்ஸ் இருக்கு சப்போர்ட் பண்ற மாதிரி இருக்குன்ற மாதிரி ஹெச்பி ஈக்குவலன்ட் இல்ல ஹெச்பிக்கு அகைன்ஸ்டா இருக்கிற மாதிரி ஏதாவது இருக்காங்க?
அதான் ஹெச்பி அகைன்ஸ்டா பாத்தீங்கன்னா நம்மளோட மதர் போர்ட் பிளஸ் சாலிட் கெபாசிட்டர். Rohit, ours is solid capacitor, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And as I informed earlier, we have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Okay. And our desktops are equivalent to competition desktops actually, on par with competition. உங்களுக்கு நான் இந்த பிபிடி அனுப்புறேன் தியாகராஜன். பிளஸ் நான் என்னோட யூனிக் ஃபீச்சர்ஸ் இருக்குல்ல அதோட ஒரு லிஸ்ட் நான் இந்த குரூப்லயும் போடுறேன். நான் உங்களுக்கு அனுப்பிடுறேன். நீங்க எல்லா பார்ட்னருக்கும் ஷேர் பண்ணி விடுங்க.
ஷூர் சார்.
வேற ஏதாச்சும் டவுட் இருக்கா யாருக்காச்சும்? Team, thanks for joining. If there is no doubt, actually we can end the call. Rohit, thank you. Rohit, thank you for this training. Thank you, Rohit. Team Supreme team, thank you for organizing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for clarity. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Rohit, thanks, Rohit.